Creepiest unsolved murders
Sometimes you're playing a
video?
game so
Uh,
mysterious you think, I think I
Where's the title? Jeepers, what the fuck was that? Unsolved
need a
titles?
break. Let's just toss this in here.
Oh,
Good thing I got Factor. I'm a huge fan of Factor, having lived in perpetuity orders for some of the release, as it was instead found in the file. Garn 47 is a mysterious game that doesn't have an official release, as it was instead found in the files of a mod for Friday Night Funkin' called Hit Single, which adds a bunch of cursed songs to Friday Night Funkin' with
oh.
such hits as Darnell Wet Fart. If you extract these hidden files and boot up the game, you find yourself walking around this dark, mysterious forest-looking area collecting Sonic rings. Rather than playing as a supersonic speed hedgehog, you're what appears to be a fast-moving goblin man you can barely control, who kinda just moves around erratically all over the place. This should be fun. Making your way around the analog horror environment, you find that the game is full of strange characters and secrets, such
So
as
it's
this
hidden
cat who
within
repeatedly
another
yells
game?
car at you and leads you to a hidden shrine full of pictures of them and you, which somehow sets them free. We also meet this knockoff version of Mario doing whatever this is, and an evil Shadow the Hedgehog that's definitely not licensed by Sega. And as expected, at one point you turn into a giraffe. If you can handle the horror of unlocking all of these secrets by completing certain tasks in the
Was that
game,
you?
you can unlock more songs for the
You're
hit
not like a
single,
goblin.
including one by Card, a song featuring some sort of glitchy Mario. This song, Power of Pig, that features a pig oinking. And this song, the uploader describes as a tribute to the Sound Voltrix game series. At this point, it's unclear if these songs are all that Garn 47 is supposed to lead to, as it definitely seems like a lot of work and horrors to go through just to get extra content for a mod of a completely different game. Though we can only expect more unanswered questions from here, as the game is still being updated with new secrets and endings. But truly, how did we get from Friday Night Funkin' to this?
It's a mod?
Offering. Thanks to Shuji for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader Discord. Offering is an upcoming game that looks pretty suspicious, as the description on the Steam store just says, I didn't want to make the Offering app. Sorry, they control me. Sorry, I didn't want. The developer has claimed online that the game is supposed to help us, though it's not clear who us is, and they've heard unsolved voices during sleep paralysis who they made a deal with, and that they cannot reveal the meaning of Offering. Adding, sometimes I was very scared for what I was doing. Sometimes it hurt. The trailer shows what is definitely a horror game with lots of unsettling imagery. Gameplay video from 2023 shows a stick figure walking around an environment filled with odd graffiti and strange creatures. However, the next update a few months later claimed the programmer disappeared, and whoever is speaking now says the developer sent them some files and that they think they've done a great job. The developer Kesha White has two other unreleased games on the Steam store called God Please Help Me and Burn the Witch, which are both apparently horror roguelike games. Searching for Kesha White online, I can't find much other than some accounts also posting cryptic information about the games, as well as the occasional post talking about going crazy or having sleep paralysis. However, I did manage to find two demos for the Offering on itch.io, one from 2014 that's $6.66, and one from 2008 that's $666. Obviously, I went with the one that's $6. The demo appears to be a small vertical slice of the game. It managed to be more unhinged than I expected, with the game filled with lots of rants from the developer who seems to be on the verge of a mental break, constantly referencing the development of the game in a rambling jumbled mess. The game also comes with its own virtual operating system with an indecipherable creepy AI character saying random nonsense, as apparently you're supposed to input codes into this field to jump to different scenes by solving coded riddles in the game. These disturbed riddles make absolutely no sense,
This
so I
game
was
seems
surprised
super
to have
cool
solved
though.
most of them by inputting the random numbers I solved, but eventually I got to a point I couldn't progress any further, but not before being barraged by a series of incredibly deranged sequences and some frankly impressive art. I found some people on Steam discussing the only known codes, one of which didn't work, and another that took me to an area I hadn't otherwise seen that just had a head that gave me this number, which didn't work at all, leading me to another dead end. You can also unlock images in the virtual user interface as you progress, and honestly, I wish you didn't. What the f? I guess the only other lead would be to check out the 2008 demo and see if there's any clues there, but otherwise it looks like we'll have to wait for the Offering's official release to get any idea of what's going on here, but since it's apparently been in development for over a decade, who knows when that will be. Anyone willing to spend $600? Something. Thanks to LTT Games for spinning this mystery through oddheader.com. Something released on Steam in 2021, not to be confused with the more recent Something game, which appears to be a complete waste of time. Something from 2021, however, is certainly something. In Something, you bounce around a sparse environment with scattered black floating random objects against a white background of some sort of A-shaped thing, which according to the game's description is supposed to be a cat in a parallel world called 1303.11,
Among
exploring
Us.
its past lives to reach the beginning of its journey by being
No?
born a cat again. Not that you would get any of that from actually playing the game. During the game, you get some pretty creepy music as you jump across an assortment of random objects like
Why?
candlesticks and machine guns, which all have different physical properties in order to climb around the environment and collect 6 random objects, while being met with messages scattered along the walls that seem to
Where am I?
represent what the player is likely thinking in that moment. After collecting the last object, some of which require exploiting the game's physics, nothing else seems to happen besides collecting all 6 of the game's achievements. In fact, the music randomly cuts off after a few minutes. And considering it only took me about 10 minutes to collect everything, the game feels unfinished, as if we're missing something, which may be the case, as LTT Games discovered something they never expected to find in a game like this, despite it already being weird as hell, as by climbing to
secret
the edge of the
level?
environment, not only can you find indecipherable strings of random symbols, but you can also see a giant enlarged design in the furthest left-hand corner of the game, so
Ooh.
enlarged you can even see its pixels. There's
Devil.
no possible way to see the whole image on screen at once. However, by knocking one of the floating objects with enough velocity into the direction of the strange design, and then trying to ride it, you can get a better look at the design, although still not enough to fit it all on screen at once. LTT Games managed to get a screenshot of the design from every possible angle they could, and when they pieced all the images together, they found it was the sigil of the Baphomet, which is the official symbol of the Church of Satan. What the hell? That appears to be the last possible thing.
You can
that
see
can
it
be
just
found
from
in
like the
Something,
corner, no?
which begs the question if Something serves some other purpose than just being a confusing, unfinished game, or if it has some sort of connection to the Church of Satan. Well, we can definitely say there's something up with Something, but as far as what that something is, we pretty much got nothing. Heaven. Daremo Kimi Woshi La Nai. Thanks to Volnips.
Some of these I feel like are purposely kind of creepy, and that's why I'm like, eh.
Through oddheader.com.
It's like the random
Heaven No
ones
One
that aren't
Knows You
supposed
is a
to.
Japanese adventure game made in RPG Maker that was at one point available online in the 2000s, but
That's
still
kinda creepy.
largely remains a mystery. Hardly anything is known about the developer, who goes
Logan
by the
Paul
name
in the
Tago and
forest?
says the purpose of the game is to explore the psychology of memory loss. Valorant first heard of the game through a Spanish iceberg by Nicolas Laquandero. The video briefly describes the game as being possibly related to 2 murders committed by a Japanese teenager back in 1997. In the case, called the Kobe murders, a 14-year-old confessed to killing 2 kids and assaulting others after first taunting police and the media with a series of notes claiming the crimes were all a game. Unfortunately, the name of the video game was translated incorrectly in the iceberg video, making Volonips' search for it difficult, but he was able to get the correct title from Pizza Man after sharing the video on the Creepy Gaming subreddit, who revealed the game was available on the Japanese website Vector. Volonips found the game hard to run, as all Japanese RPG Maker 2000 games are, due to differences in the character encoding on Western Windows machines. Playing the game didn't answer any questions about the mystery, and most Valnips could find was a Japanese Yahoo Answers page where someone explained the game's fictional story has a character with a similar name to the real-life killer, with a number of similarities to the Kobe murders. Valnips also found an archived version of the developer Tago's website, which didn't provide any new information, but did contain a novel Tago says is for those who have finished the game. Unfortunately, possibly due to Google Translate, this story doesn't provide a lot of answers either. Valnips also found if you search the game on Google Images, you only get a couple of screenshots of the game, and these 3 images, which appeared on a site called ChibiCon that tries to be a comprehensive resource of free games, although the images no longer appear to be hosted on that site. It also appears there's multiple Japanese blogs that mention the game's similarities to the Kobe murders, but that's as far as any extra research could get me. Unfortunately, us clueless Americans don't have enough knowledge to figure out how Heaven actually relates to the Kobe murders, so if any Japanese viewers familiar with the game could give us a little more insight, you might be saving many of us a lot of restless nights. Psychopomp. Thanks to C Chameleon for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader Discord. Psychopomp is a 3D horror dungeon crawler released earlier this year for Windows. In the game, the player takes on the role of a girl who appears to be experiencing psychosis, where she believes everyone in the world has secret powers they're hiding from her. And to prove this, she creates a helmet called the machine that lets me read people's minds when I want to, otherwise known as Psychopomp. How she got the name Psychopomp from that is only the first mystery of the game, as by putting on the helmet, she can see a hidden world full of unsettling monsters and secret passageways underneath government buildings. And this world exists under a sky where we can see a twin version of the Earth that's been destroyed. Once we break into these buildings, all sorts of strange horrors await, such as eyeball nurses who feed patients at the children's hospital to the rich to keep them alive forever, and kids at the school who are melted down into silverware. However, it seems even more horrors have yet to be uncovered. In addition to the 3 main areas of the game, secret levels will also randomly appear on the level select screen. There's also a mysterious library area that players can gain access to after beating the game, where mysterious eyeballs watch them from the sky until they're teleported to a different area on the other Earth as another character. And the game's developer Fading Club has confirmed there's still mysteries in the game players haven't solved. However, before solving any of those mysteries, maybe we should check in on the developer first. The Game 2030. Thanks to Dude Dennis for submitting this mystery through the Oddheader Discord. The Game 2030 is a strange app that appeared on the Google Play Store at least as early as 2018, which seems to have since been removed. The store page didn't provide much information about the game, except the description, "If you don't already know how to play the Game 23, you have no business trying to play the Game 23." Old videos of gameplay show the game opens with a mostly empty environment, with what looks like a giant golden apple on a checkerboard, as well as what appears to be something written on
Illuminati
the
floor.
apple, and some sort of small creature running in place beside it. Doesn't seem like there was much to do here, though the submitter says clicking on the apple on rare occasions spawned them inside this extremely trippy spherical environment, with what appears to be a black safe that you can't interact with. It's not clear what's going on here, though a possible explanation could be a connection to a mysterious alternate reality game of the same name that's also been a mystery for a decade. The Game 23 ARG first appeared on the internet in 2014, when the well-known experimental filmmaker Alejandro Jodorowsky tweeted a link to a pastebin file, saying this game will heal the world. Call the others and play it. Jodorowsky, known for films such as The Holy Mountain, which was the inspiration for the MGMT Time to Pretend video, and is maybe the most disturbing movie I've ever seen. And I've seen Tetsuo. The pastebin file appears to be a letter to the staff of FRAC, an online publication for hackers.
What?
The letter talks about an article previously submitted to FRAC about Project Mayhem 2012, a mysterious project that was canceled when the Department of Homeland Security found out about it.
First rule of Project Mayhem is you do not ask questions.
The writer of the letter goes on to say they've improved Project Mayhem 2012 by turning it into the Game 23, which they describe as a fictional ARG that takes place on a planet inside a computer simulation that creates reality as players access the hive mind. They also admit to programming an AI-human hybrid life form that is highly contagious and will be born and infect the rest of the internet once an article is published. After a bunch of quotes from famous revolutionaries and creative thinkers, the letter contains a list of complicated instructions for joining the Game 23, which begins with announcing the game on Twitter and recruiting as many friends as possible to join the game across various online accounts. What follows is a long list of complicated instructions you probably have to be part of the hive mind to understand, but it all seems to be centered around spreading the Game 23 as widely as possible. It appears that no methods of spreading the Game 23 are off limits, as some ideas and the instructions seem to include hacking government websites or a flash mob in your local community, and commands that a cathedral should be built once the hive mind reaches the 10.8 million mark. But why 10.8 million? Well, I can't find any reports of a Game 23 cathedral being constructed, but I have found reports of internet users trying to spread the ARG around that time, though they appear to have been more successful in annoying people than actually furthering the movement of the Game 23. Well, still no idea what's going on with this strange mobile game or the ARG, though I guess covering this on YouTube technically makes me a player of the Game 23 and another pawn in the Game 23's collective hive mind.
Oh, what?
Thanks
No,
to Johnny
don't download
Brainworms
it.
for submitting this mystery through oddhair.com. The Jingle is a game I can't even begin to explain, as it was discovered by some online when it was
This one's
published in
spooky.
2020, but no one has any idea what the hell it's supposed to mean, largely in part to its
Wizard of
disorienting
Oz?
visuals and lack of any coherent text. In fact, the game is barely playable, as Goblin on YouTube says they couldn't get the game running because some sound files were missing, but they eventually got it to run by replacing the missing files with placeholders. Goblin says the Jingle also opened random tabs on their computer computer while playing, so be careful if you want to check this one out. It appears to be an RPG style game where you play as some sort of nude demon looking creature, getting your party together to fight even stranger looking bosses. The boss battles are hard to make sense of, as our attack options are Infilin, Enlighten, Enraiden, and Enmadden, whatever those mean. And our ever so helpful inventory includes items such as Looky Here, Upset Officials, Melting Sad City, and Take to the Dead. Odd creatures around the environment ask you to release their lord and savior from the metal box he's trapped in by reciting the digits and putting the killer back in his place, which is perhaps what we do when we fight this creepy pigtailed dude. And if getting through the game wasn't already difficult, Goblin found that the second half of the game was password protected. It took Goblin over 6 months to find the password hidden in the game after getting a score of 100 in a random minigame, which gave them an item to defeat the Jingle boss, who provided the password for the second half, which turned out to be a harder version of the first half. Unfortunately, Goblin was still unable to complete the game as it was just too difficult, meaning as of this time, the Jingle appears to be a game no one has ever managed to complete, kind of like attacking Sagetta, except intentional this time. The developer appears to be a mystery, as the game credits list only an Alex Seaboard who I can't find anything else about. Strangely, the only other difference in the unlocked second half of the Jingle is that when you get a game over, you now get an image of the biggest terrorist attack in US history, with the word unfortunate. Well, best of luck to anyone who wants to be the first ever to complete the Jingle. I'd rather not have to look at that image over and over. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. And if you know of any other mysterious
Oh my
games that you'd like
god,
to see
that's
me cover,
wild.
submit through oddhair.com, come join the Discord, or even send me a shout through Twitter.
That's amazing. I wonder if we're even going to be able to post this one because of the music. We'll try.